Well, I have painted myself into a corner, as usual. You can see that this is just miserable and ugly. And what I had done was I went back when I realized how miserable and ugly it was and took the magic sponge and broke a lot of it up, although not all of it. I may wish, well, we'll see. So the thing is, this is so dingy and we're working with watercolor, so what can we do? Well, for one thing, okay, here's my colors. I've got a blue-green. Remember, I made this with phthalo green blue shade and some ultramarine, and I've got this nice turquoise color. And then here I've got a yellow-green, but I don't have enough of it. And what I'm going to do to that yellow-green is I'm going to add some cadmium. This is real cadmium. Some cadmium yellow, because real cadmium is very opaque. It doesn't mean if you use it thinly that it's going to be opaque, but it's considered an opaque paint, and it's considerably different. You can see it cover the dark underneath it. All right, so and with that, I'm still going to need some green. So my go-to color these days is phthalo green. So let's put some phthalo in here. I want to be careful not to put too much in. And I would like it if they had just a little more bite to it. And I can get that with some Nicolazo yellow. Just puts a little more acidity into it, a little more richness. There we go. I think I can deal with that. We'll see what happens when I put it on. So let's wet down this turquoise. Okay. So the thing is, I can put this green in. Now remember, especially if you're working with a round brush, be sure. I've got a mixture in here that's, I think it's about right, but it might be a little on the soupy side. So I don't want to add water to it with this brush, and the interior of this brush is carrying a lot of water. So I'm going to squeeze that out so that what I pick up here is pretty strong. I'm just going to look and see if I like what it's doing. Well, it's not the most beautiful green in the world because, gee, it could be in part because it's opaque. You know, I don't necessarily like that. Well, I'm not going to cover everything with this. Let's do a little, okay, of that kind of thing. And then, because, see, here's some that I've already done. I'm not sure I had quite the same color mixed. So I'm going to pick up now my turquoise. And I love laying that turquoise into that. And when I do, as soon as I do, it's no longer turquoise. It's a deep green. I want to keep some of those light areas. You know, I may even decide to blot here in a minute. Let's just see what would happen if I blotted. Will it uncover the ugly underneath? Oh, that's working pretty well. So I got a little variety in there. Something like that. Okay, so let's come over here and let's do some more of it. Now this, of course, is not the final work on this. This is, let's say we're replacing the base color. And I'm going to add a little water here and let a little bit of that green flow down onto this beet. These are beets. I just have to say that because, I mean, they've been, don't tell anybody, but they've been calling these radishes, some people have. And I know no self-respecting beet would feel good about that. Well, that's kind of a funny shape there. Let's break it up. And then Oh, good. Here. They've got a really soft edge there. I kind of like that. This looks like stripes. Let's pull something through there that way. Okay. And then, you know, maybe I'll blot a little bit and maybe I won't. You know, I'm pretty good with where that is right now. Oh, okay. Oh, look what happened. See, my green ran in more than I wanted. So let's re-wet that and then let's blot. I would never do this in the middle of a face, but it works perfectly on beets because they're kind of rough and rugged. Okay, we've got that little bit done. Now, while that's drying, let's look at this area out here. And I think I talked about keeping that white. Gee, I'm looking for my original that I was painting from. Hold on. Okay, here it is. See right here? And I don't have my sample with me, but you remember that we left this area really, really light. I think I talked about that on the last video. I think I showed a piece of paper stuck on one of these. So I have a relatively white area there. I actually scrubbed the dickens out of this because I had so much just plain gray in there. I don't really want gray in there after I got to thinking about it. Okay, so one thing to do that I like, that is, oh, right here. This is a watercolor pencil. It is an olive colored, well, it calls itself, yeah, yellowish, olive green yellowish, as though all olive greens weren't yellowish. I don't know what that means. Okay, you're probably wanting the brand. It's Faber-Castell. I'm not sure how you say that. So the thing is, I would like to put in some vine stuff here. And there's a whole lot of ways you could do it. Of course you could do it with a brush. But I'm going to kind of stick with our pencil technique that we've been using. You know, the wet. Oh, there's some little green splatters even. So I want to get the extra. I've been soaking this to soften it some. And I want to get the extra water drips off of there. So let's see. Now, whatever I put down here is pretty much going to stay. So I want kind of a meandering vine here. Now let's wet it down again here. Okay. Because what I want is a really soft pencil that I don't press down hard with, so I get some of the texture of the paper coming through. Okay, that's just pretty mangly looking. And some lost, totally lost areas there. I'm pretty happy with that for now. Let's see. We don't know where that's coming from. I'm not even sure what it really is. I've got a bunch of artificial stuff and I use that. So while we're waiting, let's see. We need more shadow here. Well, we need these beets to get richer. You know, they've got to be a more exciting color, or I would like them to be more exciting. So let's get fresh water. And what I've been using on these beets so far is New Gamboge. I'll just add that to what I've already got here. And this is not real thin, but it's not quite as heavy as the mixture that I put on the leaves where I wanted to cover things up. And then I'm going to get, I'll just get rose, Quin Rose. You could use Quin Coral. Be careful you don't put too much of that in here at first. No, well, I didn't have to worry about that, did I? Okay, let's try again. Okay, so that's still not enough. Well, this is unusual for me. Okay, well, I got some there. Okay, So I've got more of a reddish orange now. It's a lot stronger than what I already had. We want this root to maybe stand out a little bit from this. I can make this one lighter and that dark, or I can make this dark and that lighter. Oh, I'm torn. Well, we'll just go with whatever. We'll paint around it. So, and I've got a nice little run back there. I don't want to totally cover that up. But we'll just have to see what happens, because I can make a new one. Let's get this. Okay, so we'll put some shape in here. You know, sometimes you just take your brush and kind of smush it down. It just feels good. So what I want to do is, Trevina will leave hard edges like this on something, a rounded fruit. She does that frequently. It's not my favorite thing to do. You could do it if you like. If you've got her books, you can kind of see what her apples look like. I really wanted something like that. Well, I've got these little bare areas in here. They don't really make good sparkles. I don't know what they make. I think I'm going to drop a little water in there. So let's leave that a while. I think I see a run back already happening up here. And I left that little thing there. I don't know if that's a highlight or what that is. You know, you sort of take some cool stuff and you just run with it. All right, so this beet can get a strong color, but then it's going to get lighter as it comes across here. And then maybe darker down here. Oh, and I have, because I've lost one of my specialized pointy brushes that I just bought. It's in a safe place. So this is the rat whisker. I've talked about it before. So it's the Chinese thing that they use. And so it's a natural hair, I believe, all the way through. But when they say rat whisker, you know, it's stiff like a rat whisker. So there may be some whisker-challenged rats running around in China. I don't know. So, see, I could add this. Just have a little, there. Just put a little shape on, because I like little funny shapes. There. Ah. Okay. And some of this may mix. That may already be dry or nearly, it's not dry, but it might be where it's not going to run. So, here, we'll do that, okay? And let's add some water. Oh, see, I love to layer reds and greens. And part of the trick of that, though, is you got to layer them just right. It works best if they've both got quite a bit of yellow in them. Did turn that back on? Yeah, okay. So let's take a look at this. So is it still shiny? It is. I need to leave it alone. I kind of wanted to maybe come here. You know, this is a little heavy of a brush. I don't know what I've got handy here. I didn't unpack my stuff yet from classes. This holds a little less water. That's a sable and this is squirrel. So, but what I want to do is, I've got enough water in there. I kind of would like, I think it may be too early. Beets can have kind of a striation across there. You know, you can actually pull some of the color from down here. Let's see, I don't want to get them like fence posts. They need to be uneven. A little bit of stripe pattern is what I'm looking for. Kind of curve some stripes around down here. It's just a little bit too wet to quite do what I want. Well, you know what, though? That's looking pretty good, and maybe as it sets, it will change. So we'll see. Let's go ahead and let's take care of this guy back here. I might make this one a little weaker and less important. And gee, it's not going to have a shadow under it because everything's so dark back there. I might even take some of this other color, get it wet. When you got color in here this dark, it can come up. So, oh, there it goes. So I'll pull some of that into the beet to make a transition. I might pull a little of that into some of this greenery right here, which I have not finished. I don't know. Okay, that doesn't look really good. I'm thinking that after I put the other greens over it, it might. See that little bit of orange coming up in there into that green? Says pretty. I like that. The underneath has to be dry enough that it doesn't mix with the top. You've got to use very little pressure so that you don't accidentally start mixing them together. Okay. Yeah, that has sort of a beet-like texture. Well, I'm proud of that. Okay, so we've got these little thingies there. Let's just use a different green. Here's an olive green. Well, it's not really quite olive either. It's just green. Well, I want olive. Darn it. When I say olive, I mean olive. Let's see. Put some Quinn Gold in here. Now I got olive green. Yeah. Okay. Don't let me forget I've got green paint on that brush. Okay. So, this is great for... Here's the thing. When you've got a little bit... You know, I marked this with that olive green watercolor pencil a while ago. It's real easy to follow, and it doesn't mess up the painting because, you know, you can use it. I mean, even if the line shows through. Of course, you could use just regular pencil even if the line shows through. But this has got a little bit of that texture to it, where I was real gentle with the pencil, and I kind of like it. Kind of adds something there. You probably have to be in real close to see it, and I'm sure it's not worth the trouble, but that's what I did. You might like to have, if you don't already have some watercolor pencils, during this series that we're doing, which I expect will last into next year. Remember, it's November. I think I'll make that thicker. So I like these little bitty thin lines because they contrast with some of the rest of it. But they also, see that little curlicue there? See that little curlicue down here on the root? There, that's an echo of patterns. And I have a real love of pattern as long as it's not regular. So the way you get pattern, Sophie, thank you. Shh. The way you get pattern is you reproduce it yourself so it's never accurate, because that's way better than this accurate, you know, canned looking regular pattern. You want pattern that it's pattern, but it's breaking any rules, if there were rules out there for pattern. There's noise outside. Sophie, please, not now. Let's see, let's wash this brush out. It's going to need some other stuff. But what I'm thinking right now is that this beet is beginning to dry, just in one area. But I could come in and lay a thin little bead of water down here. Thin little bead of water. there's a real good chance that it's going to chase some of this other stuff out of the way. If you catch it, oh, there, that one is. So you just have to watch it. Just keep your eyes focused on the bead. Okay. The other thing is these shadows are not nearly adequate. And I want some shadows coming this way that break through the stripes. Besides the shadows from the beets, I want the shadows from the folds. Looks like there's a bit of a fold there. You know, you can make this stuff up any way you want to. But I'll take a little bit of our orange. Why am I using that? Well, that's going to contrast with the blue. And look, see, I might want to put more color in here, maybe some blue that grays this down. I don't really quite know what I'm going to want to do. And then right back here, there could be some shadow from those greens. I really want a good speck of white. In fact, I want some white right there. I'm probably going to have to add white ink to get that because I really messed up. But here's the thing. You can mess up and make these things work. And Trevina does it all the time. My gosh, that video I watched that she did, I mean, she made all kinds of boo-boos because she didn't even draw it. She just put it in with a brush as she went, and she had some backups, some backup moments. And it all worked anyway. In fact, I dare say some of it may have been better because of it. Some of it, maybe not all of it. Okay, so I've got a little bit of that coming in here, and that's going to make some stuff happen. Okay, back to the orange. Okay, put a little orange in here, and, well, a little orange shadow on this because I don't know a reason why not. So I do want to soften that edge, and I am going to put something on top of it. I didn't even break these up. I should have had at least one or two little breaks in it. That's probably enough. Yeah, I hope that some of you will buy some Trevina books because there's just a wealth of beautiful design in there that gives you some ideas. And here's the thing that I've discovered about art books. Sometimes it's a good idea to actually read them. Or parts of them. Parts, okay. We'll negotiate parts. That's the best I ever do. But there is real good advice in some of these. Jean Dobie is another one. She's got one book out. I think it's her only book, so you can look for it. She has fabulous, not only color combinations, she talks about making colors sing or something like that. But just wonderful advice all the way through there of things to try and do. Let's see, who else? Of course, Trevina. Oh, and Charles Reed. Charles Reed is a wealth of just good art information. If you want to be a good artist, pay attention to Charles Reed. Got to stop a second. Okay, so in the interest of keeping the video short enough, I went ahead and did a little bit more while you weren't looking. So I use cobalt teal on the handle and the lid handle because the greens just don't stand out enough when you've got all this other green and stuff going on. So I did that, and then I added some little berries or flowers or buds or I don't know what they are up here. And they're very randomly spaced, whereas these are a little more regular. I didn't get them perfect, but you can see how this all runs in together. So that again makes a beautiful transition here. Well, I don't mean it's beautiful, but it's clever. Okay, a clever transition. Okay, let's see. I think this thing is scooted on me. There. Okay, so we've got that. Now, I think it's going, well, we're going to have to put some dark speck in here, and we're also going to have to add to the leaves and build up the beet color, maybe just a little more shadow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch from New Gamboge to Quinn Gold. And I'll have that with my rose. Ooh, it's a pretty strong rose. I think that'll work. That's just a really strong red. That's what that is. It's an orangey red, though. These aren't purple beets. But someone did purple beets with kind of blue-green leaves and then a black background over here, and it was just gorgeous. Don't feel that you're supposed to do exactly what I do. I'm giving you ideas, but when you have a different idea you want to try, don't worry about whether it's going to be successful or not. Take a chance and see what's going to happen. Watercolor can be so much more fun if you just, you know, turn yourself loose some of the time. So, okay. So I've got that. Now what am I going to do with it? Well, I'm going to wash all that good paint out of my brush. Okay. You know, if you can learn to use 2 or 3 brushes, Shirley Nichols uses 3 brushes. You can learn to use at least 2 brushes. You can save a lot of paint that way by not washing the paint out of your brush every time. So I'm keeping this down lower, and I'm just adding it in some places and leaving hard edges in other places. Wash that out again. See, I'm taking some of the water out, but I've got plenty of water left here in the tip. Plenty enough for this. You'd have to develop judgment about that over time, but also it's knowing that you're going to put your brush down and see what happens and that you may need to make adjustments. I think that this would be really good if this little root was really, really dark. Pretty cool. I darkened this beet back here too, and I'm not sure yet what's going to happen with it. All right, so this, the shadows on the cloth could use a little more blue in them. Oh, I've got some of that turquoise mixed over here. Let's try that real thin. Oh yeah, I wanted some of that up on this too. You might want to wait for your beet to dry before you do that. Or you might not. Either because you work around it or because maybe you'd like for them to bleed in together. Could really use a little more color right there. Okay, and then down out here. See, that's a little richer. Let's go ahead and let's see what happens if we do. Oh, that's a little too much color here. Let's thin it out with, see, it's not a mistake that I put that much color down. It's just that next I'm going to add more water down here next to it to thin it out. That chopping noise is my son making cabbage soup. I think it's a diet thing. Okay, you know, back here, I think we need a little more color right there. That really ought to be cerulean, probably. Okay, I'll just get a little cerulean. We'll just pop a little cerulean right in there. We're going to need some white added in here, in some areas here, but that'll do for now. I do think that I might even drop in a little extra dark right over here. That's kind of what I had to do on the last one, so I'm just guessing that that's a good move. The thing that you want to do is you want to get back from these and you want to look at them and see what they need, not assume or guess. And don't just do it because I did it. Because remember, your painting is going to look different from mine. All our paintings look different. And so you need to make adjustments that work for your painting. All right, I've got this and this and this. I could do that little fluted edge around there, but I think I'm going to leave it off of this one because I don't think it's that important for it. So now I wanted this really dark, rich kind of purple in here. And what I made that with, let's make it all over again. What I'm making that with is phthalo green and rose. Only I want more rose and phthalo green. Okay, let's see what this does. That's pretty wet. I don't know that I want all my edges to be real important. And this edge here is already there. And, you know, this isn't too bad right here. This is kind of gray, which is what I didn't want to have happen, and I made mine kind of gray. Let's just put a little opening there in that, and then we can soften an edge here. Soften an edge there. Okay, now we have a situation with our leaves. Our leaves are boring. And I don't think that they need a whole lot to be going on in them. This is where the action is, and even right there. But if I take my turquoise now, the leaves are dry now. I could take my turquoise and I can drop that into some areas. Oh, there, I ran it right into the purple. Well, I don't know what's supposed to be purple and what's supposed to be blue-green. Well, I don't guess it matters. Okay, so I'm just putting some, in fact, you know, you can see they're kind of brush-shaped marks here. Let's, I think some of that, I'm going to put some white in down here somewhere. Let's do a little bit of that. And then let's go back and soften a few edges, but not all of them. See, if you soften all of them, then you have nothing. You know, you have an amorphous blob. It could be an amoeba or something. Actually, an amoeba's got more shape than that. Okay, there's kind of a line I'd drawn. Maybe I'll use that and put just a tiny bit of color in. I don't know. Okay, so up here, this is kind of mushy, yellow, brownish something. It could be a leaf. I kind of like that it's there. I kind of like there's a little bit of that up here too. And that's working for me. Let's soften the edge of that stem out there and maybe put a little bit of something there. I'm not sure yet. I'm not even sure yet what's leaf and what's background. And I'll only be sure when I see it. And I won't see it till I try something, right? Just allow yourself. These are great projects for absolutely having some freedom and enjoying yourself and not getting too caught up in the formula or exactly how I did it. Please don't care that much about how I did it. I have one woman, Sandy Baker, who always tells me that she never listens to me, but she comes to class anyway. So, Oh, by the way, that was Charlotte Lawson that did the purple beets with the black background that was so beautiful. Let's put a little something more right there. You see, you don't have to define every area. It doesn't have to all make sense. It has to be pretty, but it doesn't have to make sense. Okay, I think here, be there. See, because I think some of this is going to finish off with some white ink. Still didn't get that color in down here that I wanted, that little bit of cerulean. I don't know that cerulean actually belongs there because it belongs here. Okay. So, you know, some of these, the handles could use a little shading on them. You could do different stuff. But I'm going to concentrate on popping some whites out here. And what I have here is what I usually tell you not to let happen is for you to let your white ink get too dry. You could also be using like titanium white out of a tube would be good. And I have a whole big tube of it in a safe place. So I'm using my white ink and I've got it mixed pretty strong. So you actually would probably do better with a synthetic brush doing this because that's so you need something stiffer. I want an area of real strong white right there. You can see how I need a stiffer brush. Oops. I reached for one and it disappeared. There it is. Here, one of these. That's going to pop a little whiter than this. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. And then back in here, between these stems, I want some negative space coming through. See, we could put some right here. I don't know why that's up there because, well, it doesn't make sense. And do I care that it doesn't make sense? Not a bit. And so this area, if anything, you'd say, well, this area needs to be in shadow. It does, but that little pop of white coming through there is just perfect. I don't have any sparkles back here. Well, I have some tiny sparkles that don't look right. So I might even come in up here and add in an occasional sparkle. They could be just barely there. Put something on this beet. This poor beet, he really just doesn't belong there. So the one I did where I had two beets in it, I think I like that better. This could probably be purple. Oops, I keep getting too far off out of the way. Okay, I'm going to do that one thing and then I'm going to leave it alone. Call that it. So I'm going to just do a little more of the purple right here. And just because this looks loose, because there are, you know, breaks in things and textural things going on, it doesn't mean that you can't take time to be neat part of the time. That doesn't have to go out the window. That just totally disturbs me. The color is dead. It's flat. It's ugly. It just sort of ruins the whole thing. I just wonder if I lift it a little bit. Sometimes you can lift and make something turn better. And then sometimes it's not. Let's just see if we can put a little life into this beet, even if it makes it... I kind of wanted it to just be part of the background, but That's better. That's better like that. Okay. So, I'm gonna, and you know, when I go off and leave this for a while, and I see it later, I'll see all kinds of things that I want to do to it or that I should have done to it, because that's how life works. Okay, so this is basically it. Okay, and that is the end of sugar bowl with beets, and then we're on to, oh dear, we're on to more sugar bowls and beets, and with other stuff, a lot of other stuff, wine bottles and of strange red thing. I don't know what that is. Okay, all kinds of cool stuff. So see you next time.